Get your favorite health tips right here on U24. Maintain your kidney by drinking 8 to 10 glasses of water each day. This can be in form of soup, tea, water, cooked grains and boiled vegetables.
Hello, my name is Erica Murunchi and welcome to Be Inspired by Erica. So today I want to talk about personal hygiene. Personal hygiene is not just a habit, it is a way of life. By maintaining personal hygiene, you will reduce stress, improve on your focus, show respect for yourself and others around you, to the people around you. Take care of your space and your life. Keep your room tidy, wash your hands, cut your fingernails, comb your hair, brush your teeth, and many others. Take care of your space and your life. Brush your teeth, make your bed, bathe, cut your fingernails, comb your hair, and many others. Make cleanliness a
Hi, my name is Doreen Tuhidire, coming to you from Be Money Wiser, and we're going to be bringing to you the hashtag 100 Ways to Be Money Wiser by Mrs. T. Tilda Nabandra. We're going to be running this hashtag 100 Ways to Be Money Wiser on U24 television. Don't miss out.
Youth of Purpose. Youth of Purpose.
Action.
Last week on the 1st of May, Uganda joined the whole world to celebrate the International Labour Day. Now, this was held in Awilli District here in Uganda, but also it does bring a commemoration towards the respect for employment rights, the respect of what young people actually are going through in terms of the formal and informal sector, as well as the gig world. Are they actually even able to attain some kind of employment? The celebration actually did rotate around the health and safety of individuals at workplaces. And of course, this is Youth of Purpose with me, your host, Trassyleen Ankunda, and we'll be discussing the different perspectives of what we actually think it means to celebrate the International Labour Day within the youth perspective. And instead, I do have with me Linda Awilli Ouma, who is a lawyer but also a youth leader, and we'll allow her the honors to introduce herself. You're welcome to this show, Linda.
Oh, thank you so much, Trassyleen, for hosting me to this show for very many times. I think this must be my 4th time coming to this UBC show. I am called Awilli Linda Ouma. I am a lawyer as well as a youth leader from Abim District.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome to this week's episode. And maybe to get your perspective, especially from a starting view in regards to the International Labour Day celebrations. What does it mean to you when you listen to this, but also with the young people's view? How do you think it is perceived by the young people, even within the rural communities where we do come from?
Oh, thank you so much. When someone talks about Labour Day, initially what comes to our minds as the young people is that we see how our communities have been, how our economy has been built by several people, hardworking people. We look at people like teachers, we are looking at people like farmers, the ordinary people in this economy where people really deal on wealth, but we have the very people who have made our economies to go at a greater length. The farmers, we are looking at the teachers that have spent so many working hours to make sure that our economies go to a greater length, where we look at their rights to their workplaces, we look at the wages, we are looking at how are the men being treated at workplaces, how are the women being treated at workplaces, are the people working maybe in industries like the laborers, are their rights being respected, are they being given holidays, or are they being treated fairly in their workplaces?
Yes. Maybe if you could highlight more, especially on a young person who is not in the formal labor market, one who is doing bricklaying deep down in Chabujimbi, where I come from, in Bushenyi, or even in Abim, where you come from. what do you think when they listen to the word International Labour Day, they get to understand? But also, do they actually know that the day exists in the first place?
Thank you so much. Much as people really, I think if we go back to our very people at the grassroots, I think most of them don't even know that we have that, we celebrate Labor Day, because most of the people think when we look at down there in our grassroots communities, most of us are really not, we are not employed. When I'm talking about employment, I'm talking about people who are at the local government. I'm talking about people in the private sector. But also when we look at people doing bricklaying, that is still labor. Those ones working in the industries at the very lower level, that is still labor. So I think that when someone as a bricklayer is trying to lay their bricks, they are also workers, they are also laborers. So at least they are trying to create a business for themselves, or they're trying to find them doing the business of bricklaying. They're also trying to find a way of how to implement, or they're finding a way of how to benefit people, or how to benefit the economy.
Thank you. And when we also now talk about women's perspective and alignment, what does it mean, especially in terms of their rights at the workplaces? And I'm saying this because we've had instances where we've particularly talked about, for example, issues around breastfeeding areas within an organization or workspace. But we've not seen this. And it's even worse when it comes to persons with disabilities. What is your say in terms of the safety of these mothers, in terms of the safety of the perspectives around persons with disabilities, and why we actually do celebrate the International Labour Day?
When we look at the perspective of women, I want us to see that women, if we go back to our history, women have just been put into the labor force recently. It has not been, we have not been working for quite a very long time.
When you say working, maybe they've been working in the private sector,
or maybe at home.
Yes.
But when we are talking about generally to participate in building the economy,
yes,
we have been doing the housework, the what. But now, when they've now put us at the forefront. We are still trying to improve or to get ourselves there as the men are. But when you look at a woman, women and men are biologically, we are different. Yes, we go through childbirth, we go through pregnancies, we also have our menses as well that we go throughout during our like the monthly period of. But when you look at a woman, do you see, let's say for example at her workplace, let's say if you employ a woman at the workplace, there comes a period maybe when she gets pregnant, yes, and she gives birth. Are there some sort of when she gives birth, are there some sort of holidays that is being given to her, so that's in order for her to nurse her baby, so that
maternity leave,
the maternity leave, yes, that is supposed to be like for 3 months. Is she being given at every workplace? I think it's mandatory for women to be given that maternity leave. Yes. Then also when it comes to the payment gap, you find in most workplaces women are not paid the same as men. Yeah. So also women being looked at, are we being given the same space in terms of wages? Are we being paid in the same way men are being paid, or are we being paid less because of our gender? Okay.
And celebrating International Labour Day, especially with a back thought in regards to, for example, the different challenges in terms of structural challenges, particularly issues around culture, issues around patriarchy, issues around the education system, and all those other initiatives that you can think about. Where does this position us in that perspective, and how best is this re-echoed to ensure that actually culture does appreciate the role that women play in workspace, but also issues around unpaid care is taken as serious as possible?
When we look at our society, we have to come in terms to realization that women have been working we have actually been the main workers for a very long time. But now, are we being recognized Are we being recognized? Now, for example, let's say culture. Culturally, for us women, all we do is cooking, domestic work. We do farming, but now since farming has become something that majority of women participate in. Like, let's say the government of Uganda is trying to put farming, modernized farming. Yes, but as we are trying to modernize farming, and we see that women are the biggest contributors, we are the biggest workers that when it comes in terms of farming, we are the ones doing the digging, we are the ones doing the irrigation. We are doing almost, let's say, 70% of the farming. Yes, let's look at our villages. When you see, it's the women doing majority of the work. Now, the women who are doing majority of the work, are they being encouraged? Are they being when I'm talking about encouragement, are they being given some sort of let's say loans in order for them to boost their businesses? Yes, is the bank giving them loans with less interest? Is also the government looking at their pay gap? Are they being paid the same as the way men are being paid? Yes, I know. We are still trying to find a way to reach that wage or the pay gap, so that we can reach to the way men are being paid. There are civil society organizations that are trying to push forward. They're trying to advocate for women's rights in terms of their workplaces. Are we being treated nicely at our workplaces? When you look at various workplaces, let's say the private sector, when we look at the local government, we're having issues to do with sexual assault. Are the women being given an environment where they can report that they're being sexually harassed? Are they being listened to? Yes. I think a safe working environment for the women is something. If women are thriving at their working environments, that is how we, as in terms of the economy, we also thrive as well. And also it makes us as women, those ones who are in our local areas, let's say in our communities, let's say for example in Abim or maybe in Kotido, when they see that in works, if the safe work environment is good enough for them, it encourages them to join the workspace. Not that they should only be dealing in housework. Yes, they can also join the private sector. They can be working at the industries. Yes, they can also be working at the local government. When an environment is safe for a woman, everything just thrives and everything is great.
Interesting. Let's talk about the young people in the informal sector, and maybe the young people in the world where they do not have contracts at the workspace, where they do not have any other form that actually shows they are employed as per the regulations and the law. When you look at young people doing boda, young people doing in the gig economy, young people trying to drive change here and there, what do you think this actually does resonate with them in terms of celebrating the International Labour Day?
Yeah, I think what resonates with the young people, it's trying to encourage them, because right now in Uganda, for example, we have the biggest rate of unemployment. And as a young person, like the president has always told us, don't just say, oh, I'm a young person, but what do you believe in? Just in case, just because we're having unemployment, but you have to find other ways of getting money to improve on yourself. Like now, if you see a group of young people have tried to join, let's say, the border business, yes, it might not be something that is, it's the informal sector, yes, but now when you see people celebrating Labor Day, we are trying to encourage the young people and say, yes, doing the border business, it's not a bad thing, yes, but you can also improve as a person. The kind of money you're making as a border rider, you're trying to improve yourself, you're trying to improve your families. At least you're getting some source of income that is helping you and your family. And it's also encouraging the other young people to join the business. Now, if you see the border business, we are having something to do with Safe Border. We are having all other companies that companies that have made the border business a huge thing. Yes. Yes, and you find that people are thriving. Let's say, for example, you find where the border association, they're getting. A friend of mine told me of how being a border man nowadays is probably one of the best investment you can put in yourself, because at the end of the month you can be getting like around 3 out of 5 million, of which an ordinary person working in office you can be getting like around 1.2 or maybe 1 million per month. Imagine working as a border person. So it encourages the young people and say, okay, being a border person necessarily does not mean that you're really doing badly, but it improves you as a young person. You don't have to be the one looking for government work. You can start up your own business. Yes?
Yes. So talking about the fact that we are getting into the digital world, we are getting into the AI world, what are those ventures that do specifically need to be highlighted about in terms of employment, or where we can fit in?
Oh, okay. So, you know how the digital AI is now like the biggest thing that we have always been encouraging the young people to be part of. If we look at things to do with graphics design, you see that everyone is now, let's say, on TikTok. Everyone is trying to create posters and what. As a young person, why don't you invest yourself in graphics design? You can pay someone to do a graphics, like a very simple poster. Yes, you pay someone like 20,000 for a poster. Imagine how many posters you can make. Yeah, let's say for a TikTok advert, for a show, you know. If young people, as we invest ourselves in this AI thing and we start to learn how the technology works. For example, TikTok is now here. Everyone is trying to move their businesses to the digital economy. Yeah. But now, how do you thrive in the digital economy? You have to learn how to use technology. You have to learn AI. AI is now the big thing. Make sure you get into those forums. Let's say, let's get into those sessions, those educative things where we can learn how to use the digital forums in order to improve ourselves as the young people. Because at the end of the day, the economy is moving. We have moved to a digital world, and of course we are not going to. The economy will leave you behind. But in order to benefit as a young person, you have to make sure you're moving with what is moving, what is now the trending thing, like AI.
Let's talk about the education system of Uganda today. Does it actually address the challenges of employment? And also, if you could highlight on the competence-based curriculum.
I want to really applaud our education system. The system is kind of we are trying to change, yes. I'm someone who has been in the other old system. We now have a competence-based system that people are trying to see what can the young people best there. They are now basing on skills. What do you do best? They're doing their things on business, you know, so that people can, we are not only dealing with the sciences, with the arts, but now what can you do best as a young person? There are very many schools that are encouraging people to go to the digital, you know, TikTok, how to make money. Students are now going with phones to school. Students are going now with laptops to school. You know, they're trying to teach young people, not just in secondary school. They're trying to find a way of also trying to bring this to the lower primary, let's say to the primary level, so that we start young. You know, starting young is always something that is very good. So I believe by in the next 10 or the next 15 years, Uganda, the next young generation of the young people, at least will be somewhere in terms of skills, not just soft skills, but in any other skill that we don't need, where we can just employ ourselves. We don't need to be directly employed, let's say in a white collar job. Now you can just employ yourself. You can start your own, maybe computer, you know, you start developing computers, maybe start doing something that is in the creative space.
Thank you. We'll be going in for a short break. See you right after.
Of purpose.
Damn.
Youth of purpose.
Abange fenna balimira abaluzi abali eyo YPA tukowola mu lukuŋŋaana lwaffe olwa buli mwaka nga 22/5 2026 ekkololo ku kisaawe jangu olaba abalimi n'abaluzi bwe bali obulamu bwe basanyuka bwe balya ku ntuuyo zaabwe mu lukuŋŋaana lwabwe olwa buli mwaka ne YPA ab'embuzi mujje tuyige bwe banoga ssente mu bulimi n'obulunzi nosubwa omwoleso ebyokuyiga okulya n'okunywa boy child jangu ne girlfriend mutegekere ebiseera by'omu maaso omwami tolekayo omukyala so naawe omukyala kubiriza omwami abeeyo fenna ku luno tugenda tegera ekyama ekiri mu bulimi n'obulunzi okwetaba mwoleso n'okumanya bisingawo noti 7 noti 3 noti 34 ne noti 7 noti 7 59 22 37 fenna abalunzi n'abatali YPA tuyise mu annual general meeting yaffe nga 22/5 2026 mu kisaawe Kololo.
Youth of Purpose.
Of course, you're welcome right back here on U24 television, and we are discussing the International Labour Day celebrations that did happen in Buyuke for Uganda particularly, and what is the youth perspective in that line. And joining in is Linda Awilli Ouma, who is a lawyer but also a youth leader, as well as Oculi Yakob, and who is a youth leader, the chairperson of Amuria District. And you're welcome to this conversation, Oculi. Kindly say hello to our listeners, our viewers, and then we get the conversation started.
Thank you so much, my sister. To the listeners and viewers there, good evening. My name is Oculi Yakob. I'm the District Youth Chairperson of Amuria District, but also a student at Kampala International University. I'm also pursuing law, and I'm in my second year. Thank you.
You're welcome to this conversation. And when you joined in, we're discussing what it actually means to you when one talks about the International Labour Day. And maybe you can kick it off. What does it, when you listen to that, what does come to your mind?
I think, according to me, International Labour Day is a day that reminds people of the relevance of work, also reminds people that their efforts towards work isn't just in vain. Most times, you get to realize sometimes people celebrate these holidays, they do not know why they are there. But particularly International Labour Day is a day for people who are doing work, be it whether you're employing in the formal sector or informal sector. I think people always do not agree with me, but I believe there is a lot to do with International Labour Day, because even people that are border riders, people who are selling chapati, people who are selling charcoal, people who are doing any other kind of work, it is their day, and it's their day really, yeah.
Do you think that border men in the rural communities of Amuria actually know about the International Labour Day?
I think, to me, according to me, even me personal as a person, I used to hear of International Labour Day. It's just a day for us to break off school and not have lessons or other lectures. But it's to my own concern that a majority of people do not know these days. Yeah, even people who are doing work, they think it's just a day for people who are in offices, or sometimes they even don't know that they exist. Sometimes you ask, what is Labour Day? They don't know. They don't know why is it there. And I think a majority, a bigger percentage, do not know about International Labour Day, yeah, honestly.
Interesting. And even when it goes to when we're in secondary, you'd just be seeing a day off. But even today, if it falls on a Friday, you will see people's status, how they're telling you, oh, what a long weekend for me to be able to enjoy my life. But also, let me ask you a question on the youth and celebrating this particular day. What do you think we are celebrating?
I think the problem that we face as a country, as a nation, is one, people bring in policies, people bring in these days, but they do not get to understand why is it there. When you get to understand why a particular date is there, you get to celebrate it with passion. But most times, young people are left behind. So the relevance of these days is, it's like these days to be celebrated does not matter to them, because they do not know why these days are there. We have a lot of people, young people, youth, who are in employment, not employed, but have a lot of contribution to this country. In Amuria District, where I come from, young people have a lot to offer, because when someone is at the age of 30, 35, from 18 and 35, you get to realize that this person has time, has energy, that if you compare it to whatever age within a lifetime, I don't think there is any other age bracket that beats the young generation of our own within 18 to 35. But most times these people are sidelined, they are left out. So why would you interest yourself in things that you're not involved in? In these day celebrations, we looked at the one in Buike District. How many young people were represented, and how many young people had time to speak? Which views did we present on young people? I think you realize that it's minimal. So to me, most young people live out these days because they are not involved. And when you're not involved, why must you involve yourself? And I think the word comes back to me still. I think we are used less as young people, yeah.
When you say we are used less, is it about us being used, or is it about us actually coming out of the shell and willingly wanting to do something? Our giant, the sleeping giant in us, is not utilized. What do we intend to do as young people? What visions do we have as young people? Most young people have very beautiful dreams, very perfect dreams, but the people to pass on to them, the generation that is above us, is not doing what they're supposed to do, because they're concentrating on individual kind of progress. They do not look at what kind of society are we having in. I am trying to compare the previous life that we had of our forefathers. Like, you get to realize that these people had something to offer. When Oculi Yakob grows up at the age of 5, 6, he knows that I am supposed to be plowing, I'm supposed to be doing hunting, I'm supposed to be doing fruit gathering. If my sister Awilli is to grow up, she knows that I'm supposed to do this. You get so. But right now, people do not know why they are there. Someone goes to school, sometimes they are not guided. Some schools just teach what's supposed to be taught. So I think it rubs off the reasoning within young people on how they are supposed to come out of their comfortable zone. So their capacity, their efficiency is not utilized to capacity. I feel that is to my own from my own point of view. Yeah. Okay. Now, as a student within the school setting, what avenues, or what do you think a student in Kampala International University actually does celebrate on this particular day? Is it a day off class? Is it a day for rest? Or is it a day to reflect on some of maybe the initiatives around them?
Right now, the current situation, I have to be honest, I do not want to deceive myself. Right now, we are just having this day off class, of lectures, have time to wash, and most times you find that if it happens on Friday, someone gets time to travel back home. Or to those ones that love sports, sometimes it's the day they arrange their sports. Some of us who love to have evening, we go and have time outside, you get. But it's one of the things that I think it's a bad culture, because people do not know why these days are there. So it affects, as a country, we are struggling right now. We do not take these days so serious, and we don't see it to why it was there. What was the reason as to why this day is celebrated? People do not know about it because they are literally green. They're ignorant about the day.
Yeah. Okay. Let me get back to you, Linda. And I want you to talk about a youth that is reluctant or feels that there is actually no need to work. Do you think they celebrate this day?
I don't really think there's no one who does not work, or like, it depends on how someone views work, what work is.
Yes.
I think work is work, whether you're being paid for it.
So what is
not.
work to you?
So like you asked my chairperson of Amuria of how what does the Labor Day as a student to them, who are saying, okay, they see it as a holiday to chill and maybe do sports and stuff. But I also believe that as someone who is a student who is trying to study, and the fact that you're in class like from Monday to to Friday, you're reading your books. I believe that is you're working on yourself. Yeah. So I think it's also something that you should celebrate about yourself. You don't have to necessarily be paid to do something to consider it work. Yes, the fact that you're studying, you're reading your books, that is work. You're doing something. I think you should also celebrate. You should pat yourself in the shoulder and say, yes, I'm trying to do something for myself. I'm working towards being a better person for myself. Yeah. And as a young person, you don't have to necessarily be working at, let's say, in a private sector. You don't have to be working at an NGO. You don't have to be working in a government space, or you don't have to be in some fancy place in order to consider yourself working. You know, as someone who is also doing, maybe selling charcoal, you're doing things to do with you're selling tomatoes, you're doing maybe your chapati guy along the street, that is still work. You have to celebrate yourself. Maybe until you reach a certain point, even if you're not being involved, let's say, in these big celebrations, we should not let our guards down. We should not be demoralized by that. At the end of the day, we are working and we are trying to improve ourselves. Much as the young people are really not being involved at the most highest level of celebrations, let's say the recent celebration we had in Buyukwe, it doesn't necessarily mean that we should stop ourselves, but it should be like a stepping stone for us to be better. We should work harder. We should fight for our own spaces in order to be recognized, because even a chapati person needs to be recognized as a laborer. You're doing something that is work still. Even a border guy has to be noticed. That is still work. You know, we don't have to just be necessarily, oh, maybe you're the permanent secretary to the president. You don't have to be the one who is speaking on national television trying to say, oh, it's Labor Day, oh, this. I actually believe it's always the people who are the lowest level, let's say the farmers, the teachers, you know, those ones who are doing the highest forms of labor. Those are the people that are contributing most, and those are the people who are being celebrated the least when it comes to the celebration of Labor Day. But regardless of that, we should also find a way of fighting for ourselves. We should also find a way of incorporating those ones at the lowest level of work, that they're also being appreciated. How are we appreciating them? How are we involving them so that they don't feel less involved? Like my brother here said, you find where someone doing maybe border does not feel the day. He does not even know that the day exists because he has not been involved in the entire Labor Day process. He does not know that he is also someone who is supposed to be celebrated.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Linda, for that. And let me get back to you, Yakobo. When we talk about initiatives around the AI and the digital world, what do you think are those key elements that they celebrate on such days? Or how do we intend to make their life a bit better? With the online bullying, with the cyberbullying, but also with the match network that one can rely on to be able to maybe sell their goods and products.
I have loved the idea of AI. I think it shows us where we belong, and also it's an improvement basically for people who are at school, because AI is a system that is trying to ease everything. It is actually progress, but most times people who benefit from AI are a majority. So I think when you are doing every day's time, like work every day, AI is something that you're using as a tool, be it at school, be it in business, be it in videography, TikTok. It's a lot, name them. But also in my own reasoning, I think we have not utilized it as a country, because when you go to rural areas of this country, like Amuria, where I come from, I think most people do not even know what AI means. So we have not utilized it to capacity. But if we were to utilize it to capacity, you realize that we would have a lot of progress within AI. Yeah.
Okay. So what protections would one advocate for in terms of online trading, in terms of online advocacy? Because we've also seen very many young people benefiting from content creation. We've seen very many of them being able to come up with initiatives in the tech world, women in tech, men in tech, and all that. We've seen the health profession also now having to align with the technology world. What are those things that you think are very key in championing for a safer space in that angle?
First is let people be informed, let people be made aware of whatever is happening and how beneficial can this be, because there is you bringing something that is an idea or policy or whatever, an innovation, but also what makes it more relevant is when people are aware of how advantageous it would be. Because if I know that AI can be used like this to ease work, it can be used to capacity, but also when we use it negatively, I think we do not achieve its main purpose as a country, and it becomes more of useless. But if we are to utilize it, get to know how is it important. If it gets important, that means we can utilize and make use of it. Also, in my own analysis, I've analyzed that AI is being taken for granted, but really, if we are to bring a lot of innovations, we would realize that someone can have employment just through if you were to use AI, you can be able to do a lot. So if we are to make people aware of the benefits of AI, also the other thing we can do is let schools find ways of how they can incorporate AI into the curriculum so that people can get to know what is this AI all about and how can it be advantageous. You can't leave school, be it in school or out of school, but you can utilize AI. I have friends that use AI to make a lot of interesting articles. Someone writes in English but has made a lot of English through AI, and also we get to learn. It's a quicker way, it eases work. When people get to realize this, I think they embrace it and it becomes a bigger kind of conversation around progress. Yeah, because its main advantage is it eases work. So when people get to realize, I think AI is important to me as a scholar in this way, people get to embrace it, and you don't need to advocate for it, because when I know something, Trassyleen is aware of something, my sister Ouma is aware of something, it becomes easy. Yeah.
Interesting. Let me get back to you, Linda. How does celebration of International Labour Day address issues against or issues around the cultural perspectives and discrimination of different people, from age to sex and all that, or physical ability? And where I mention this is the conversation around unequal pay for similar work. And this is not just women, but also some other special categories. I have seen a problem statement of one of my friends who is deaf. And it was saying that 90% of deaf people are not employed in any sector apart from the sector that actually is maybe purely dealing with deaf people. And talking about coexistence, talking about reconnection, talking about reuniting with all these different initiatives and people. What would be your comment on that?
Oh, thank you so much. Recently, our Minister of Gender, during the Buyukwe celebration, she made an emphasis on trying to tell people that, you know what, when it comes to things to do with labor, we should not be having some sort of discrimination in terms of age, in terms of gender, in terms of maybe disabilities. We should not also discriminate those people with disabilities, because at the end of the day, we are looking at what kind of vision does the person bring. What is the person bringing to the table? We are not looking at the person is disabled. So at the end of the day, we are looking at the brain power. What is the person bringing to the table? And also the ministry with some of the non-governmental organizations have put around articles or have advocated for all kinds of that has stopped all kinds of discrimination in terms of gender at the workplaces. And also when it comes to people with disabilities, they've tried to encourage people to make sure that those people are also being incorporated, they're being employed at the workplaces. When it comes also in terms of the pay gap, we are trying, much as Uganda as a country, we don't have like a minimum wage, like a certain standard of who is supposed to be paid at this rate. But I'm very optimistic, and I believe that maybe one day, if we aggressively work towards it, we are going to come up with a minimum wage rate where each employee is supposed to be paid at a certain standard. But until we reach there, I think it's just fair that as you're trying to employ someone, at least give them like a wage that is a little bit better. Don't overwork someone. Don't also underpay them at the same time. Try to be very human. Look into yourself and say, okay, I'm a human being. Have some sort of humanity. Have some sort of empathy in you, and be like, okay, I'm trying to employ someone, but how are they benefiting? How are they supposed to feed their family? In terms of health, am I giving them some sort of health-wise? Am I giving them am I safeguarding their health? Let's say, for example, those ones who are working at the factories, because the factory work is a little bit dangerous to someone's health. And also, are they being protected? And then the women that are being employed at the workplaces, are they being given a maternity leave? Are they also being paid during that time that they have been given a leave? And also those ones who are employing women in their workplaces, because I've had a lot of stories of women saying, oh, majority of these organizations really do not want to employ us, because at the end of the day, they be like women, they reach a certain point where they get pregnant and they really don't focus so much when it comes in terms of work, or maybe they will get pregnant and then it will bring some sort of a backlog to the organization. And then I don't think really that is a very wise view to look at it that way. At the end of the day, I think that we should all be treated fairly. The fact that someone is a woman, it's a natural thing to give birth, but you don't have to fault them for that. I think they should also be being employed at the same rate at which men are being employed, looking into consideration, not just looking at it, like if we employ this one, she's going to get pregnant and we have to give her maternity leave, we have to pay them, and then the business is going to come to a loss. I think that is not how we should think. And then also, the workplaces that are not giving, they're not giving people with disabilities, or they're not giving women the same pay as men. We should do better, at least, because what a man can do, a woman can do twice as better, or even much better than a man. But we should not be paying them in terms of gender, or let's say, okay, I'm not employing this one because he is disabled. At the end of the day, someone's work ethics should be what we should be relying on. What are they bringing to the table?
Yes. Okay, thank you. Let me get back to you, Oculi, as we try to get to the ending part of the conversation. What environment do you think, in your understanding, would be a free and safe environment for all?
A free and safe environment for all. First of all, what environment would people wish to have?
Yes.
You can have whatever kind of environment you would wish, but what is free for you, my sister Trassyleen, is not what is free for me. What is free for me is not what is free for you. I know most times people ignore this. We come into conclusions of what makes you comfortable. We do not get to realize what makes the other person comfortable. So I feel, first of all, is knowing what makes people comfortable within the area of interest. Like now, particularly Uganda, what makes Ugandans comfortable? Before we can have things that make people comfortable, I move on to disability issues. First, I think there should be policies that allow these people to exist so that they are comfortable. If we look at structures, buildings, are they having what a disabled person would wish? These people have a lot to give in. I have seen experiences where a blind man is a top scorer of a league. But how does a team respond to such a person? Someone is deaf but is a top scorer of a league. Now, how do we bring in things that make this person comfortable? Identify whatever guidelines that we would have. When it comes to buildings, most buildings do not have some of these things, but we are supposed to have. That is now the role of government. Are we having policies that push to see that these things are at place? Also, we have to get to realize that if people are not pushing to the limit, what makes them not comfortable, identify those challenges, and then implement them. It becomes much more easy, other than having assumptions or feeling what makes Yakobo comfortable should be what makes the other comfortable. Yeah, I believe that.
Yes, thank you. And also, particularly in the students' unions, in the students' associations, in the youth structures and leadership where you actually are part, what could be your role?
As a person,
yes,
I do not have capacity to do a lot, but I believe in changing society, and I feel my main goal in life, my main responsibility as to why God created me, is to make society a better place. I've been in leadership for a lot of years of my life. Even when you talk about in school, out of school, I think it differs. Within society, like in Amuria District where I come from, my main role is to advocate, look into spaces and see that I advocate for these young people that I represent. Also do capacity building to see that these people come together and have something sensible out of whatever they are going to have as a discussion. At KIU, I am the president at TESO Development Students Association. The challenges that people face there are quite different from the challenges that people out of university face or out of school. So I also feel my work is to see that first of all they come together as young people, present their problems, and then advocate for them. Also my work is to represent them. I am here, I am representing young people. I can be able to actually speak for them, for the majority that are not here. I can also talk on their behalf. The other aspect is seeing that these people's problems are identified and they are worked upon. I could have my simple solutions. If someone does not have tuition, always what we do is seeing that we mobilize the small resources that we have and see that the person sits for exams. Also, we could think of career guidance. We guide each other. What does Yakobo have? I could have an experience of a heartbreak and I'm able to tell someone, you know, let's do this. Life still has to continue. That's my basic role as a young leader. Maybe the other thing is connecting so much with them, seeing that they are given hope, motivation, motivate them, speak to them, and so many others, but basically on advocacy, representation, and the rest. Thank you.
Okay, let me start with you, Linda. Your parting shots to this conversation.
Thank you so much. I really want to always encourage the young people that you know, mindset change is something that is very, very huge. It is very big. You know, I'm actually so happy that when you look at improvement in terms of people with disabilities, they've been given at least a platform that they did not have. Looking back at our history of employment. You know, there are policies that have been put for women so that they can have a fair representation when it comes in terms of work. The policies that have been put for the people with disabilities as well. But then when it comes to implementation where we have a certain sort of a gap. So what is my role, or what is it our role as the young people? We should be advocating for these people to be put first. Yeah, we should let them know that, okay, disabled people do exist, women do exist. They have to be given the same environment. At the workplaces, are there sexual harassment policies that are being put into place that at least when someone is sexually harassed or harassed in any form, they are being given audience, or they are being listened to, or there is some sort of, you know, there's some sort of a committee that deals with with harassments at work. And then also when it comes to, you know, you cannot just work in an environment that is not safe for you. In terms of emotional safety, when it comes to health safety, you do not expect someone to be working in a factory where their hands are supposed to be cut off. You know, those heavy machines. But at the end of the day, are they being taken care of health-wise? Yeah, the air that they're being, you know, factory work is really, I think it is something that is very, very hard. And most of those workers who work in the factories are the people that are affected the most. But do they know that their rights are supposed to be taken care of? And also the people employing those people, are they really taking care of their workers as they should? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Linda. Let me get your parting shots, Oculi.
First of all, allow me thank you as a sister, because I feel whatever discussions we would have would be how do we connect to each other.
Yes.
International Labour Day is not just a day. I think as a country, as a nation, we need to, one, identify problems, challenges that workers face, and looking at all angles. Look at the people doing the labor work, look at people who are employed, those are not employed, and those ones that are simple entrepreneurs. Also look at age brackets, look at the young people, look at the very old people, look at the very young people. Now let's also look at women, let's look at disabled people. When we identify this, we get to realize their challenges. So I think every time when we have an international Labor Day celebration, we should be able to identify these problems that we are facing, areas where we have done well, areas where we need progress, areas where we need a lot of attention, so that every time we have this day, if in 2026 we have done this and we feel there are these challenges, by 2027 we should be talking about something else. I think it helps us to track on where we need improvement, where we need progress, and also helps us to build a lot of capacity. In mobilization, people get involved, and when there is inclusivity, people come to do things with passion. The other thing I would wish is, if we have these days celebrated, let us look at how are we celebrating these days. If it's done, for example, in Buike, maybe a person from Amuria cannot come there, but we have this done at village level, that all people within this village, for example, where I come from, we are doing this, we are having a Labor Day celebration. It helps more people to get to know, to be informed about this day, and helps us to build a lot. By the time we come to a national kind of gathering, we are celebrating this at nationwide. Now the other people who are already in villages are already aware of this, so they get to come in on board with a lot. Lastly, I think we also need to do a lot of mobilization and get ourselves interested in what do young people really want, what helps young people. Within universities, within institutions of learning, within secondary schools, within primary schools, there are specific things that every young person loves to do. If we identify these specific things, these people are able to come in with a lot of energy, and we utilize them to capacity. And I feel we grow as a nation, we develop as a nation, and a lot is realized, other than just having a day where people come and talk, and speeches that are not really to what expectations people would have. Thank you so much. Of course, this is the Youth of Purpose program, and today we were discussing the relevancy of the celebrations of the International Labor Day and what it means to young people in terms of employment, both in the formal and informal sector, but also in terms of what reforms are needed and recommendations that can be able to make and satisfy this year's theme towards safety, health, occupations, and all that. And of course, Oculi Yakob, who is the District Youth Chairperson from Amuria District, Lenda Awilli Ouma, who is a lawyer but also a youth leader from Abim District, did join the discussion. Now, from us, we want to say that we are honored that you continue to follow our conversation, but also to the production team, we want to say thank you so much, Tyson and Fizo, for the good work that you're doing, and remind us that do not forget that this show runs every Wednesday at 9 p.m. See you next time, same place. Trassyleen Ankunda.
Youth of Purpose. Youth of Purpose.
Family, wamuna U24 TV bakuletedde DJ Bash Experience season ya musanvu nga werekeddwako omuyimbi Big Famika